Delighted to say now that Tommy Walsh joined us. The Electric Ireland has teamed up with former Kilkenny Minor hurler Tommy to highlight the major impact of the Minor Championship and look ahead to this weekend's Electric Ireland Minor All-Ireland Hurling Championship final between Cork and Galway. It takes place at Saturday, 7:30 in Semple Stadium, and it'll be live in TG Car from 7 o'clock. Tommy, how are you doing? You keeping well?
Yeah, how are you doing, Shane? All good.
I'm
All-Ireland
not
final
too.
week, so exciting.
Yeah, this is the thing. I was going to ask you, you did it on many occasions. What's your routine in an All-Ireland final week? Or do you try and keep away from people? Do you be nervous, or how do you be feeling?
Yeah, All-Ireland final week you used to try and keep as busy as you can. The main thing is that you don't want the energy to be sucked out of you before the big day on Sunday. So early in the week, like depending on who you're playing, you're thinking about the 2 or 3 players that you might be coming up against. My preparation, I didn't go into it too much detail, but does he come forward going for scores, or is he setting up scores, or does he go back down the field, or what type of general play does he do? And that was about as much as I thought about it. Mostly your own game, going out winning the ball, what you were going to do. So I did all that maybe the week before. I wouldn't think about past Tuesday anyway at the latest. Probably Monday would probably be the cut-off for thinking about the game and what you're going to do. So when the game came back into your head during the week, I just let it in and out. So you can't stop it because obviously it's going to be everywhere. People will be wanting to talk about it. So I let it in and out, but do not let it take up too much time or thought, real thought. So that was my preparation. The day before then, I'd always get 2 new hurls as well of a Friday off Amy Dowlands. Often played with a new hurl in the big matches. Could do it in the backs, not really in the forwards. I like the light hurl, so I was just happy once I felt it. I got into the habit years ago of weighing me hurls. And Brian
Really?
Dowland, who was weighing him, because it's hard to get him right, because they're made of ash, so every hurl is different. And but I found it wasn't working out, so Brian Dowland had a chat with me. He was making the hurls there in Star Hurleys, and he just said you should go back to the way you used to do it on the feel of the hurl. So yourself. 2 hurls might weigh differently, but they might feel good to you. And went back to that and haven't looked back since. And so if it felt right on the Friday night, I'd play with it in the Friday night, and I would play with it in the final on Sunday. No hassles at all.
But would you not
Um,
have like a favourite hurley? A lot of players are like that they need to play with it a while before they get used to it and trust it to play it in a match.
Yeah, in the forwards, I'd put a bit more effort into it because you can't be hitting it as much, and your first touch has to be spot on. But where I played with wing back, most of your time was rising the ball really and just driving it as hard as you could and as fast up the field. So the accuracy or the first touch wasn't as important. So I just needed a light hurl that I felt good with. So you go up, raise the ball, and drive on with it.
Okay, absolutely. And did you ever find
Yeah.
a week of leading into an All-Ireland, or maybe the following days, that I didn't get it right there, or things got to me? Or do you think in general you always dealt with it pretty well, like you seem to?
Yeah, no, I was happy enough. I treated every game, and I came from the Brian Cody and the management team. We treated the games in the Welsh Cup, trainings, running sessions. They were like All Ireland finals. You wanted to win it, you wanted to be your best. So you're used to that feeling of both enjoyment of succeeding and disappointment of losing, and you just got over it. And I was lucky enough, while I loved winning and got so much enjoyment out of winning, I was able to get over losing quick enough. Once you went into the new season or a new match, so it's like a county campaign straight into your club campaign. So able to get over All Ireland law championship quick enough, straight back into club action. Now I did find it hard to get over the club losses because you had to think about it for the whole winter. But I think there was obviously things that you had to learn from matches, like say the 2010 All Ireland and the 2011 All Irelands. I had to deal with how to learn how to mark Bonner that bit better. So no, you are learning, but would never call them regrets really. Even in the 2004 final, or like Niall McCarthy had a great game that day, centre forward. I was marking Timmy McCarthy on the wing, and I was running after all day because I knew Timmy was a great runner and he used to produce it in the big day. And my mindset going into the final was just follow him, do not let him get on the ball. But by following him, the space and the pocket open on the wing, I gave no support to Peter Barry, who was centre back. So I learned from that going forward for the next few years that maybe, you know, while you might be keeping your out of your game, are you putting the team under pressure? So listen, you don't have regrets, but you're learning.
And, you know, I mean, Cork haven't won an All-Ireland since 2005. You went to college down in UCC, so I'm sure you know all about them very, very well. Are you surprised that it's taken them this long to get well? I mean, they haven't won it yet, but they were only in the 2013 final, so they've been away from it for a long time.
Yeah, I think we can definitely reference under 20 All-Irelands. You look at Cork, the last time they won under 20 All-Ireland before this year, 8. The Cork team of the noughties, they're 20 All-Irelands. It was no surprise that they weren't competing then at the top level. Like, it's no surprise they're winning they're in 4 months or All-Irelands in a row under 21. So they're back in all senior final, and they're not after just falling into it. They're not after, you know, playing, you know, in bits and bobs. They are flying it, and they're hurling, you know, at the top of their game with players at the top of their game. So I think it goes back to underage. Doesn't have to even successful, even competing in under 21 finals.
Yeah, and so like you would have played against some of these Cork lads, of course, Patrick Horgan more than anyone else. It would be great to see, like, for most neutrals, they would love to see a great player like that win an All-Ireland, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it goes back to 2017, Shane, when Hurling won it. The whole country was, you know, absolutely delighted with him because he gave much to the game. To start medal, it just meant Galway people, but I think it meant a lot to the whole people of Ireland. And it would be the very same, I think, in this instance. If Patrick Horan goes on and wins an All-Ireland, I think the whole country will be delighted for him. He's been a fantastic role model to Cork players, to the Cork public, even during the poor times. I played shinty with him over in the Compromise Rules. He's the best player that I ever played shinty with. I have to think about the shinty and my rule to catch the ball. He was able to, as a forward, turn, twist, and put the ball over the bar in the back of the net. No problem. His first touch, his skill was, and he loved the game. He was obsessed with the game. Probably grew up in the Glen, hearing stories of Christy Ring, Tomas Mull, and all the great Cork teams and players of the past. And he lived that. And he's played with that expectation of not winning All-Ireland and you know, that weight on his shoulders. So to see him win that this age of his career, I think the whole country will be, bar the Limerick people, of course.
Yeah, without doubt. Do you think that Cork have improved much from the Munster semi-final when Limerick beat them by 8 points? I mean, both teams have gone on a bit of a journey since. Limerick with that topsy-turvy Munster final, miles behind the first half, hammered tip in the third quarter, and, you know, they've looked really good since then. But what about Cork's journey? Obviously beating your own Kilkenny along the way.
Yeah, I think there was 8 points in the Munster semi-final. It probably wasn't, you know, an 8-point victory. If you go and look at it, was won 7 to 10 points on 35 minutes. So coming up to half time was a draw match. Limerick scored 2-1 before half time, and that cushion for the whole of second half. I think for the journey they've been on, I think Cork have went from strength to strength to be a clear team that were very difficult to beat under Brian Lohan. Brian Lohan is instilled toughness, a kind of a team spirit, and hard for any team to beat. That's obviously Kelly. And let's not forget, only for the Cork goalkeeper Patrick Collins, Cork wouldn't be here, they wouldn't even in semi-final, because he made an unbelievable save from Tony Kelly, and it was on his you know, more difficult side to save it as well. So they've had some different players have stepped up at different times, and you'll often go and look at All-Ireland champions, and where did they win it? There will be many points and many moments throughout the season. Like, you go back to when Limerick won the All-Ireland in 2018. You could go back and look at Nicky Quaid's save on Harnedy and the flick in the semi-final. Cork go on to win it, could be by Pat Collins' save. But then many other moments as well. Mark Coleman has many last-ditch efforts in the semi-final against Kilkenny. But where they've come from, I think, is mentally, the semi-final will give them huge confidence that they're now able to mix it. They're now able to hook and block on the big day when it matters most. Like the likes of Horan, there wasn't all for them in the final. They're getting in their body, they're getting in the hook blocks, O'Connor wasn't really in the game. Like, the Welsh is doing a fantastic job on Jack O'Connor. He went out wing forward suddenly then, and the game took on a new lease of life. So I think to have that mentality of dealing with setbacks, Tim O'Mahony, Robert Downey. Downey was under pressure on Billy Ryan. Suddenly in extra time, he was nearly man of the match. Tim O'Mahony, a great game, but then suddenly he did, made that mistake. I wouldn't even say it was a mistake. Kilkenny did very well to take the ball back off him. And he was just, continuing with the game plan of Cork. He wasn't going to drive it down the field. But he had to deal with that of losing the ball and Kilkenny getting the equaliser. So I think mentally they've gone from strength to strength, Cork, in this campaign.
And do you think Limerick can be caught? I mean, they've won 2 of the last 3 All-Irelands and are most people's heavy favourites coming into this. Their game plan, it's so well repped. Their players are physically strong. They seem like they can go all day. So, but do you see any opportunity for Cork to win this game, or just Limerick too strong?
Yeah, I think the big mistake taking on this Limerick team is twofold, really. It's taking them on physically. I think they're at nothing taking on this team physically. Diarmuid O'Sullivan referenced it after the semi-final when it was said to him that Cork's physicality has definitely been upped, and he said physical fitness has been up, and which is different. They're not going around the line or over the side. Well, Mark Coleman did it, I suppose, in semi-final, but generally they're not. But what they are doing is they have a ferocious work rate to hook and block. They're not just chasing down a lad. They're getting in them last-minute hooks and flicks. So I think that's given them a great chance against this Limerick team. If they're to beat Limerick in the final, Cork, I think they're going to have to attack him, which means don't give Limerick extra defenders, because Barry Nash, Sean Finn, these guys on the ball with the extra defender, they're the best team in the country. So I think bring them, put your forwards up and take them on 1-to-1. And your strength in Cork is speed, so use that and take on. Don't give Limerick the sweeper to help out his other defenders.
And what about Cian Lynch and trying to mark him? At the moment, he's playing like the best player in the country, and most teams seem to man mark him. Like Tipperary went to man mark him. Cork, generally, Jerry Millerick was marking him the first day out. Most teams are looking to kind of try and nail him down.
Yeah, and like the thing with the great players is you can't nullify them totally. So if you keep these lads to 2 or 3 points, it'll be no hassle. So I think the most important job, man-marking job that Cork have to do the weekend is the 3 half forwards. So it's Tom Morris, Cian Lynch and Garrod Hegarty. Sometimes you keep one of them down. Sometimes you keep 2 of them down. You'll never keep all 3 from having a man of the match display. And to beat this Limerick team, I think you have to stop one of them. To do that, I think to have players up on him and man. And I think that's the only way. Let the ball go into the full forward line to Gillan and Flanagan, but let it go in under pressure. Don't let quality ball go in. I think then you have a chance of beating them.
And just in terms of your prediction, then, which way would you be leaning?
Yeah, so I'm leaning towards Limerick. I think they deserve that respect. They're aiming to win 3 All-Irelands in 4 years. They're aiming to win the 2 in a row. They've 3 Munsters done in a row, first time since the Tipperary team of 8. The first time Limerick have done since the Mickey team of the 30s. They've handled themselves brilliantly since the All-Ireland semi-final victory against Cork in 2018, when John Kiley asked the supporters to give them space to prepare. Well, they've held that mantra ever since. They've been preparing like a challenge match, the same as they would for an All-Ireland final. They've always turned up. They've had setbacks in the Tipperary in the Munster final. They were blindsided, really. Tipperary were outstanding. And suddenly then they came back into it in the 3rd quarter and overcame that setback. So I think Cork have the tools to beat this Limerick team, but Limerick are my favourites to win it.
And just a quick word on Kilkenny. Do you see much change with Kilkenny over the winter, or whether it's players, manager, or anything like that?
Can you hear me there? Yeah. So I think so with Kilkenny, I suppose like anyone to 30 is probably going to have to question, to have a chat with the management. Am I in your plans for next year? If you are in plan, then you're going to come. If not, have a decision. So I think Kilkenny, like if you look at the semi-final, Shane, they had only 3 players outfield over the age of 30, and one of them was the goalie. TJ Reid and Conor Fogarty were the other two. So they have great young players coming. Mickey Comfort is after doing a fierce good job with the young players regards to their strength and conditioning. The young players are gone. They're physically capable now of taking on these teams. And so listen, I think the future is bright for Kilkenny. The one thing is, as the players that are 30 older, as they start, Brody is kind of, he's been looking 3 years down the line, like Alex Ferguson down in Manchester United. Like all these players, they're only on the subs bench now. So the young players are playing. So you have 12 of the 15 under the age of 30. So listen, Kilkenny, short term, can they win the All-Ireland next year? Absolutely, yes, they can. Long term, we'll need to keep bringing players up from. There was some great players on the Kilkenny Minor team this year. So, keep them going, their strength and conditioning programs, and hopefully get them into the game.
And just before I let you go, Tommy, the All-Ireland Minor final this weekend, Cork against Galway. Which way are you leaning with this one?
Yeah, well, I think Cork have, under 14, they won the Tony Forrest, they'll beat Kilkenny in the final. Under 15, the under 15 A and B. There was no under 16 championship. So this team has been coming for quite a while. Rebel Oak, they're putting in huge efforts. So even before a ball was put in the championship, people like Cork were going to win. But then you have 5 in a row. Only one player off last year's winning team, the goalie Young Welch. So they will be up against it. Nobody expected them to be in this electric minor final. But they're there now, and they're there after beating a good Kilkenny minor team. But I'm going to go with Cork. Like I was looking at the scoring, like they've won 10, 11 points plus in all their 3 matches. Young Jack Lahey is 3-9, 114 and 11 points. Like that's incredible scoring for a young minor. So listen, I'll tip my hat to Cork.
Yeah, and is there any concern over a Cork takeover in hurling? It feels like they're winning everything underage, and they're just at the cusp of it at senior level as well.
Yeah, they're definitely coming, and I knew they would when they were putting in that effort at the Rebel Oak. They've such a strong tradition of hurling, strong tradition of sport in the county. And like you look at the underage over the last couple of years, you have Niall McCarthy involved with this year's team, Tom Kenny, Don Logue, Sean Oak. They're all getting involved in the underage setups again. Pat Ryan, Wayne Sherlock over the under 20s. Like they're putting in a fierce effort to the underage, and that's going to bear fruit at senior level. The Rebel wave is coming, and they're after being 4 20s in a row now at this stage. So listen, I think the rest of the country beware.
Yeah, we're not looking forward to that takeover. Thanks very much, Tommy. Really appreciate you joining me.
Okay, thanks, Shane. Thank you.